Welcome to the Association of Applied and Therapeutic Humor podcast, Laughbox. We have multiple hosts and multiple guests and multiple ways to think out of the box using humor. Join us for today's episode 84 with Jim Bob Williams, Dutch Martin, and Katie B.
All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to the AATH Laughbox podcast.
Yay!
Okay, I'm Jim Bob Williams, and this is
Katie B.
with our special guest,
Dutch Martin.
That's right. Hello, 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 and hello.
All right, well, Dutch is no stranger to the podcast business. Dutch has been on Lead with Levity by Heather Walker. And actually, when I heard your podcast with Heather, I said, wow. I said, we got to have Dutch on Laughbox. Also been following you from afar, just watching your progress as you go through AATH and your stand-up career. And now you're a licensed hypnotist.
Correct.
Okay. So let me ask you this, all right? When did you know that humor was going to be more than just a hobby or entertainment?
Well, I've been a member of Toastmasters for about going on 6 years. And I've been competing in the international speech contest since 2017. Excuse me. And I did very well, but I made it all the way up to the district championship in 2017 and 2018, only to place second. And then I realized something. I said, you know what? The one thing that separates the good speakers from the great speakers, from the ones who win and go on to the next level, is those speakers are able to add humor to their speeches. And I saw the effect that splicing humor throughout their speech in well-placed, well-timed ways had an amazing effect on the audience. I said, okay, well, I need to crack this code. So in the fall and winter of 2018, 2019, I took a couple of improv classes at the DC Improv Comedy Club because I live just outside DC in Northern Virginia. Absolutely loved it. Now, their level 1 stand-up comedy class is one of the hardest classes to get into. There's always a waiting list. So I begged and pleaded with the director of their comedy school. I said, hey, I just finished 2 improv classes, so she let me in. So I took my first class in stand-up comedy, learned a lot from that. Then I began to take more classes in stand-up comedy during that time in early 2019. And I was just learning about how to add humor, how to inject comedy into my speeches, and just learning joke structure. And then it finally hit me. 2019, I gave I competed again in the international speech contest with a speech called A Sense of Urgency, where I talk about how I memorized all 206 bones of the human body in 3 days when I was in junior high school. And learning the tools of humor and comedy finally put me over the top that not only did I place first in my district, but I was first runner-up in the regional quarterfinals to the gentleman who ultimately went on to win the world championship in 2019, Aaron Beverly. But by that time, I'd already been bitten by the comedy bug, and I loved that. I was taking comedy courses all over DC with comedy coaches and comedians, performing on stage, doing open mics, bombing horrifically in open mics, which is, of course, a rites of passage. And then, in 2020, the world plunged into what I like to call a bad Alfred Hitchcock movie turned Netflix miniseries named COVID-19. So everything went underground. And it made me realize, it reminded me of something that happened a decade before during the real estate crash. And it made me realize again that, there's no such thing as job security. Although I was working for a government contract. I'm still working today, still got my 9 to 5. Very happy about that. But I realized it's all the things that I wanted to do, to pursue, which costs money. But I'll put it off because I said, I don't have the time or the money. I said, now, you know what? Screw it. Tomorrow is not promised. Nobody saw this global pandemic coming. No one saw it coming. So I dove into online comedy courses and workshops from some of the top comedians and comedy coaches in the country. I'm talking about Jerry Corley out of Burbank, California, also known as the Joke Doctor. He was the lead writer for 8 years for the Tonight Show with Jay Leno. Greg Dean, Dave Schwinson, who worked with Bud Friedman, the founder of the New York Improv. And I just started taking these online courses and learning comedy structure, joke structure, and it was just like a treasure trove of information. Then I came across AATH, and I discovered that I could become a certified humor professional. And then looking back on my life, I looked at instances in my life to where when I told a joke, even using the techniques that I know now that I didn't realize I was using then, when all the pieces were in place, I can remember the laughter was like a volcano exploding. I mean, it was just in my professional life, among friends, and I realized, you know what? I'm really digging this whole comedy thing. And of course, you do your research on, the social and professional and physical fitness and health and wellness benefits of humor. An excellent book I read called The Laughing Cure by Dr. Brian King.
Yeah.
He's a psychologist and stand-up comedian and a friend of mine on Facebook. Shout out to Dr. King. And he talked about the benefits of laughter and humor. And here's what really stood out to me, that when we laugh, not only does it cause our brains to secrete all of those feel-good hormones, oxytocin among others, but laughter also causes the brain to release what's called NK cells, natural killer cells, cancer fighting cells. So much so that the Cancer Treatment Centers of America are hip to this, and now they have humor therapy as a part of their overall holistic treatment. I was absolutely floored by that. And so now I make it a point to inject laughter in pretty much every aspect of my day if possible. Even at my current place of employment, I gave that speech when I was hired last fall. And as a result, I've had speaking opportunities with my current employer in their project management courses, being the facilitator and so on and so forth. So it has definitely opened doors for me.
Talk a little bit about how you're using humor at work. Because project management, I was an engineer for 35 years, and project managers were not known for their sense of humor. Okay. Project managers were, they were pretty.
Well, you're right. And I work for a consulting firm whose client is a defense agency within the Department of Defense. And you deal with a lot of people who are either current or retired military. The thing about humor is that as long as it's well placed and appropriate and well timed, it can work. And I've done my research on that as well. It has to be appropriate.
Yeah.
It has to be well placed and well timed. So during online Zoom meetings, I'll make a joke or say something humorous, and it's humorous in a way that everyone can relate to, because my type of humor is the type of stuff that everyone can relate to, such as how hard it is to lose weight when you cross 40. Everyone who's over 40 can relate to that. Or oh, those aren't muscles, those are stretch marks, that type of thing. Things that most adults can definitely relate to in that land. And it got to the point where at the beginning where my project lead, again, he's retired military, he would say, okay, Dutch, to end the meeting, do you have a joke for us? I'm like, oh, okay, sure. All right. So that let me know, okay, I guess it's working. And then the project management courses that hires, government employees and contractors had to take. That happened because the lady who is in charge of the training office for this defense agency, she approached me several months ago. She says, Dutch, I saw online during the big all hands meeting back in December where you gave your speech on the bones. I really loved it. And so we were thinking, you know what, at the end of our project management course, it's a 5-day course, we like to have a little panel discussion where we invite high-level military folk and we'll ask them some questions. We need a facilitator. And based upon what we saw, we think you would be great for this position. I said, absolutely. So I did it for both the PM1 and PM2 courses. And here's the thing. One reason why the Bone speech really resonated is because the consulting firm that's like the prime contractor, because my company that I work for is the sub, the prime, the project lead, he's a medical doctor.
Okay.
So when you give a humorous speech about the bones of the body, let's just say it landed with him. So yeah, so it's like win.
Okay.
So and yeah, like I said, as long as the humor is appropriate, well planned, well timed, and I gave one example. I said, and I would give 2 serious questions I'm already prepared based upon the course, and then I would put a comedic spin on the third one. Like, for example, a researcher who she was on the panel, and I said, man, because she deals with biosecurity type of things that this office is involved with. I said, ma'am, here's a question I have for you. It has been determined that the fly is able to transmit DNA evidence from a crime scene. But the trick is trying to convince that fly to testify in court. So how would you convince that fly to testify in court? That sort of thing, I got a huge laugh. And then she even put her own improv hat on. She said, well, I would bribe the fly with some money, this, that, and the other. I said, okay, that's good, And when you do that, when a joke lands like that with a high level government official, especially someone affiliated with the Department of Defense, that's a win. But when that person laughs or is in on the joke, it gives everybody else permission to lighten up and laugh. Even better.
Yeah, and it just takes all the tension out of the room.
Absolutely.
Everybody in the meeting gets to bond.
And as you know, for those who have served in the military, I work with military people because I used to work for the State Department. I lived and worked overseas. Our military, yes, they're some of the toughest human beings walking the face of the earth, but they also have some of the most wicked senses of humor. Once you get to know them, you talk to an Army grunt or a Navy guy or a Marine, and you get a couple of beers in them.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Katie, do you have any questions for Dutch?
You mentioned your bones speech. We could share a little bit of that speech here.
I'd be more than happy to.
Okay.
And truth be told, when I was rehearsing for that speech, preparing for it, I had, given the speech and gotten feedback from various Toastmasters clubs, and served as a model speaker for like evaluation contests.
Yep.
Got extra feedback, and as I was preparing for the international speech contest for that year, advancing from the club to the area division, I had rehearsed that speech thousands of times.
Yeah.
I would run errands. I would, be driving around my neighborhood. I would have my son, who was about 7 or 8 years old, in the back seat, and I'll be rehearsing the speech. And it's funny, if for some reason I forgot a passage or a sentence in the speech, my son remembered it.
Oh, that's great.
So I rehearsed that speech so many times that even my son knew it. How crazy is that?
Wow. Okay, so here's a little bit of your speech.
First sense of urgency. I'm going to learn all the bones of the body. This is how I'm going to get kids to like me. Now, before the age of the internet, there was the age of the encyclopedia. My grandmother had a vintage volume of the Encyclopedia Britannica. Vintage, untouched, and never opened. The first time I opened them, a big puff of dust hit me in the face. But I was determined. For the next 3 days, I studied the bones of the body like I was trying to get into medical school. I drew pictures of the bones that would have made Vincent van Gogh cut off his other ear. I took copious notes years before I even knew what the word copious meant. Monday morning rolls around, Mr. Ezel asks for a volunteer. I raise my hand. Now, at first he hesitated because I was the new kid, but you know, like the Cleveland Browns, he was desperate for a win, so he said, okay. Walk to the front of the class next to the 6-foot-long poster of the skeletal system. He gives me the little pointing thingy. I take a deep breath and go for broke. Phalanges, metatarsals, talus, tibia, fibula, patella, femur. The lumbopelvic hip complex consisting of the sacroiliac, circumcoccyx, and ilium. Phalanges of the hand, metacarpals, carpals, radius, ulna, humerus. Scapula, clavicle, sternum, rib cage. The bones of the skull, my dude behind me, consist of the mandible or jawbone, the maxilla. The 3 smallest bones in the body located inside the ear are the malleus, incus, and stapes. Moving on up, we have the frontal eminence, parietal eminence, the temporal bones, and the occipital protuberance.
So that was amazing. That's so much. That's difficult. I know how difficult that is, and very impressive.
I appreciate that, but you know, it's funny because sometimes there are events that happen in your life such that you never forget them. You could be 99.9 years old on your deathbed, and you'll still remember it like it was yesterday. I still remember sitting down at my grandmother's dining room table with the encyclopedias opened up, S, the skeletal system. And I remember those vivid colored pictures of the different bones of the body, and I'm drawing pictures of them. I'm labeling them. I'm doing everything my little 6th grade mind needed to do to memorize the bones. And then Monday morning, and as you all saw, I enacted how my science teacher reacted to the rest of the class. Again, I remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
So great.
Yeah.
And so how did that help you in your yoga teacher training?
Well, for me, repetition, definitely repetition, because when you become a yoga instructor, you have to, remember, each yoga pose, the importance of each yoga pose, the anatomy of it, the alignment, how to cue the pose, and then cueing from one pose to the next, focusing on your breath, so on and so forth. But me as a speaker, it all just comes so naturally because I love public speaking, and it just flows beautifully. Now, over the past year or so, even longer than that, even before the pandemic, I started adding little elements of humor when I teach my yoga classes, which has even made my classes that much more popular. Because before, when I began teaching yoga, I was very motivational, which I still am, because I used to listen to a lot of Les Brown videos on YouTube, and I would always have a very motivational and inspirational message, which my students appreciated. And then I started adding little elements of humor in my classes, especially like during the middle part of the class, where by this time everybody's sweating bullets. Most of the time it's a hot yoga class and people are spent, and I'll have them in a type of restorative pose, and I'll make a joke, and people just laugh, and it just releases the tension that much more.
Very nice. And hypnosis?
Well, I have always been fascinated with how the mind works, particularly how we can basically not only take charge of our subconscious minds, but use the power of our subconscious minds to rewrite the stories we tell ourselves. Also, during the pandemic, I developed an interest in studying NLP, neuro-linguistic programming.
Yep.
So I took courses in that. I'm currently finishing up a certification, practitioner certification in NLP through an organization out of California. And so I studied NLP, been studying it, absolutely love it, because it's about language patterns, how we talk to ourselves, how we reframe things, how we look at how we're able to shift our paradigm, how we're able to set a positive frame for our life and then future pace it out, that sort of thing. My yoga journey, my yoga path, that only complements that when you're able to take charge of your subconscious mind, you can literally not just rewrite the story you tell yourself, but you can write your own bestseller for the rest of your life. I mean, when you shift your paradigm on that positive wavelength, you can literally make magic happen.
Absolutely.
And for listeners of the podcast, although Dutch has experienced in hypnosis and Katie's experience in NLP, when this podcast is over, if you find yourself talking like a chicken, call us and we'll get you reprogrammed.
Paging Colonel Sanders.
Okay, so you are a Toastmaster. And how long have you been doing that?
I've been a member of Toastmasters in August. It'll be 6 years.
Wow.
I came across Toastmasters because I said, wow, an organization for people like me who like to talk?
Yeah.
Win!
Perfect.
So I joined Toastmasters, and it's been such a blessing in my life, professionally and personally.
Yeah,
Finding a tribe of people.
Yeah, there's an overlap in the Venn diagrams between Toastmasters and AATH. I was a Toastmaster for 30 years because I started doing it at work, okay, to improve presentation skills. Then since then, I've found a lot of people in AATH who've, got their start in Toastmasters. And some people in improv, table topics where you have to answer a question off the top of your head is a wonderful improv exercise.
Absolutely. I mean, that's improv right there. Impromptu speaking, definitely. I mean, you talk about having to think on your feet. Oh yeah, that's exactly what table topics is.
Yeah.
But I love Toastmasters.
It always seemed to be that the table topics contests at the area just level, they always went to the person who gave the funny answer, not.
Well, see, that's the thing. I mean, when you can make people laugh, you cause them to lean in as opposed to sit back. Yeah. It's like if you're a fisherman and you send that laughter bait out there and they get hooked in, and you can literally have the audience in the palm of your hand. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can take them on an amazing journey when you can add those little elements of humor at the right time, at the right place. Oh man, I've seen it. I've been on the end of it. My bone speech, I performed that speech in our District 27 2019 conference in a packed ballroom at a hotel. Mm. And the energy I got from the crowd when I was hitting those laughter points, oh my gosh, there's just nothing like it. I mean, even when my speech was done, I knew I won. I knew I nailed it. I knew it.
That's awesome. So tell us about your family, Dutch. You have a special family.
Yes, I've been married almost 19 years. My wife is a lovely wife. She's from Morocco. Now, English is not her first language. In fact, she speaks 3 languages. She speaks French, Arabic, and just like my mother. But no, she's a wonderful woman. I mean, she's tolerated me for all these years. And we have an 11-year-old son named Luther. Great kid, love my son to death. There are 3 things that my son actually loves more than his old man. His mom, hash browns, and Chick-fil-A sauce. But they can't really hold that against him. He's a great kid.
So how did you meet your Moroccan wife?
Well, I was a Foreign Service officer, which is another way of saying U.S. diplomat for this Department of State. My second overseas assignment was in Morocco from 2002 to 2004. My first was in the Central African Republic. I survived a military coup in CAR. So they said, you have a choice. Now you can go to a cushy post. You can either go to The Hague or Rabat, Morocco. I chose Morocco. I'm glad I did. I met my wife there. We were married in October of 2003. At the time, she was a paralegal for an attorney in Morocco. So we were married in October 2003, and we've been married ever since. Our son was born New Year's Day 2011. And, as any marriage, ups and downs, trials and tribulations, but we've hung in there. And they are the reason why I grind as hard as I do.
And so I'm guessing that you speak shwiya Arabic.
Shwiya, a little bit of Arabic. Here's the thing. I studied a little bit of, Arabic in the Foreign Service. Don't remember much of it, but in terms of Moroccan Arabic, I know when my wife's cussing me out. I recognize every word.
Well, inshallah, that doesn't happen too much.
I know it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
If
Only when
God
she
wills, she
Only
doesn't do
when,
it too much.
only when she can't get her way.
Right. So growing up, you had a single mom?
Yes, I'm born the youngest of 6 children. My mother was married and divorced several times. And, we grew up poor, deprived, that sort of thing, but I didn't really think of it that way. The best thing my mom did was stress the importance of education. So she kept my head in the books. And one thing my mom did was she kind of made it hard for me to make friends because she stressed perfect English grammar. So unlike the other black kids I grew up with, English is actually my first language. Those who kind of get that joke, but yeah, she stressed education. She wanted me to not make the same mistakes that my older siblings made, and I kept my head in the books, and I did well in school, and I was able to do my graduate at the top of my class in high school, first black male to do so in the history of my high school, which was cool.
Wow.
Became the first college graduate in my family, went on to earn a master's degree and do a lot of cool things in my life. So yeah, I was able to use education. Unlike Jim Bob, I couldn't use my good looks to get ahead in life, so I had to really work really, really, really hard academically to rise above my humble beginnings.
So how many languages do you speak?
Well,
And congratulations. Wait, I want to say congratulations on your high school career, your master's degree, and all of that.
thank you. Well, I speak French conversationally. That's the only foreign language that I speak as fluently as I do. I can understand Moroccan Arabic when it's spoken because I hear certain words and certain inflection points, and I can tell my wife when we're out in D.C. at the Smithsonian or the Washington Mall, if I hear Moroccan Arabic from a Moroccan person or a couple at a hot dog stand, I can say, yeah, they're Moroccan. Of course, my wife knows this immediately.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I speak French, and in fact, I have my last open mic, I did a stand-up bit on the similarities between French and English, and there are words in both languages that look the same but mean different things. They're called false friends, and I created this 7-minute stand-up, 5-minute stand-up bit on this whole idea of misunderstandings between the French and English language. And here in the Washington D.C. area, there's a multilingual community here. So I figured, I said, okay, it will land. But the first time I performed it, I had no idea how much people took to it, because it's funny because you say something in French, the French speakers get the joke before the English speakers do.
That's right.
So it's that double laugh. It's like that chain reaction of laughter.
Yeah.
It was great. So
how do we, as trying to be funny people, bonding people, deal with cultural differences?
That's a very good question. And I would say partly, as long as you know that your heart's in the right place, then it's okay to err. Because look, we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
I mean, Arab culture is different than Francophone culture.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for a variety of reasons. That said, my thing is this: I'm all for people making mistakes in foreign languages, because that's how you learn. That's how you get better. And as long as you approach it with a spirit of humility, 9 times out of 10, all will be forgiven.
Yeah.
Because, like, for example, Arab speakers or French speakers, when they come across Americans who are trying to speak their language or their dialect, they know we're going to screw it up. They know we're going to botch it.
That's right.
They get a laugh out of it.
Yeah.
But they appreciate the effort that we put forth into it. I mean, And some of the linguistic faux pas that I've made over the years in French have caused me to make a lot of friends. I mean, picture this.
Yep.
Two of my overseas tours as a U.S. diplomat were in sub-Saharan Africa. First in the Central African Republic, and my last one was in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire. Imagine being a Black American in Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa. All the African street kids called me Wesley Snipes.
You know what? I can nod my head like I understand, and I don't. So Dutch, can you tell us?
You know what? Because, here in the United States, a lot of African Americans, they have this romanticized view of Africa. Number one, they think it's a country, and I have to remind them, no, Africa is not a country, it's a continent made up of over 50 countries. In the north of Africa, it's Arab. South of the Sahara is Black folk. Even further south, you got Black, white, and Indian. That's South Africa, by the way. Different languages, different dialects, different political ideologies, the whole nine. It's not homogenous.
Mm-hmm.
So I went, I went to sub-Saharan Africa with that in mind. And I didn't try to insult anyone's intelligence. I said, hey, I'm in your land. I'm in your country. I'm in your backyard. Yes, I'm a Black American. I'm here to learn from you. The friendships I made with my Central African brothers and sisters, my Ivorian brothers and sisters, friendships that I still have to this day. Thank you, Facebook. I mean, absolutely wonderful. I mean, they learned from me, but I learned so much more from them. I mean, when you have that spirit of having the spirit of a student and wanting to learn, asking questions. And like I said, they want to know about us just as much as we want to know about them. And it's wonderful. I mean, in my single days, in my first overseas tour in the Central African Republic, I wasn't married, I was single. I mean, I went out to the local clubs with my boys. I mean, we tore the town up, had a great time, had a ball. I mean, everyone knew that I was, le vice-consul de l'ambassade des États-Unis. Everybody knew I was the U.S. vice consul, so I couldn't get into too much trouble.
Yeah,
for obvious reasons. I mean, I said no. I'm like, Serge, keep the hooker in your room and come here. Okay, the regional security officer might come. You know how it is, that sort of thing. But, just had a wonderful time. I mean, and my French language skills improved because I used French every single day. And like I said, the mistakes were just absolutely hilarious. I mean, there was my favorite linguistic faux pas is the letter Q in English and the French word Q. Now, the French letter is also pronounced Q, but it's synonymous with the French word Q. Let me explain. The secretary, the Central African secretary at the U.S. Embassy, I was told this story about a member of our local staff, and the rest of the staff corroborated it to uproarious laughter. The secretary of the U.S. Embassy in Bangui, who was the ambassador secretary, she was a Central African woman. Her husband was a Central African government minister, so she pulled a lot of weight among the locally engaged staff, so nobody would dare laugh at her to her face. So she noticed she was typing on her keyboard, and she noticed that the letter Q on her keyboard didn't work. So she calls one of the IT guys, one of the Central African IT technicians, and he says, "Oui, madame, qu'est-ce qu'il y a? What's wrong, ma'am?" She says, "Yeah, in English, it would translate, my Q doesn't work, or the letter Q on my keyboard doesn't work. But in French, she said, mon cul ne marche pas, which translates to, my ass doesn't work." Needless to say, this poor IT guy almost had a heart attack. Like I said, nobody would dare laugh at this woman to her face. No. But eventually, she got the joke. She realized that she messed up. Everybody got a big laugh out of it. And that's like, oh my God, that is, from a humor standpoint, That is gold.
Gold.
Yeah.
That is manna from heaven. You love
Yes.
stuff like that.
Yes.
Or I mean, like in French, like this whole concept of false cognates or false friends. You know, words that look the same in English and French but mean different things. Like, say for example, you take the English word preservative
Mm-hmm.
and the French word préservatif.
Mm-hmm.
Say if you're at a restaurant, you want to eat organic. You ask the waiter, do you have any food without preservatives? You don't want any colorings or any artificial stuff. But if I say that in French, pardon, est-ce que vous avez des plats sans préservatifs? Well, you just ask the waiter, do you have any food without condoms? Because that's what the word preservative means in French.
Right. That can be very confusing.
Oh my goodness. Oh my, and you know, that's going to be my humor project, by the way.
Your humor project?
Your project
Yes.
will be humor and language?
Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Oh man, just
whoa, okay.
that's gonna be. Trust me, when I present that at the conference in 2 years, oh
So are you in the Humor Academy?
yes, I am. I'm in the Humor Academy. I'm in year 2.
You're in year 2. Okay.
Yep. Year 1 was a blast. Meeting everybody for the first time at the conference early on this year was an absolute blast.
Yes.
I mean, the best 4-day experience of my life. Absolutely loved it.
Yes, I agree with you there. Yeah,
I mean, laughter and humor are universal languages.
that's right.
You know, so we can share that. Everybody can share a good laugh. I mean, that is such a wonderful bonding experience that cuts across all political, racial,
Yeah.
gender, economic differences. I mean, please, even members of Congress like a good laugh.
That's
Okay.
right. Yeah.
You know, everyone can use a good laugh every now and then.
I know the FBI they were pretty easy to giggle when I clowned for them.
Good.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I mean those government officials, they can laugh.
Yeah, and they need it. Trust
Yeah,
me.
trust.
As
Yeah.
stressful as their job, are you kidding me?
Right.
They need to laugh. They need
Yeah.
to let all that. They need to let it out of the system.
That's right. So Jim Bob, you had some specific things
Well,
you
I'm-
wanted to ask?
Well, okay, we've talked about a little bit about the past and we've talked a little about the present. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Well, in 5 years, I certainly don't see myself working in JLB for the rest of my life. So I'm making plans to transition into other areas. I would love to see myself. No, I definitely see myself as a corporate comedian. I would love to work as a comedian on the corporate market. Of course, as a certified humor professional, as a speaker, because I feel that my most powerful tool is my voice. Using my voice to connect with people, to help people tap into their inner power, and to help people break the shackles of fear, guilt, and shame so that they can live their version of an epic life. And epic is not just an adjective, it's an acronym that stands for energy, provides incentives to change. And I my yoga teaching, my speaking, my humor is drenched in that philosophy of helping people break whatever shackles that are holding them back so that they can live the best, most epic version of their own lives, because that's what we're all supposed to do. So I want to create a platform to where I can do that full time, build a successful business by helping people do just that.
That's
I can
amazing.
see that happening. I can see that happening. I look at you and I say, there's a TED Talk. I look at you, I say, there's just listening to you. I go, yeah, you should be in voiceover work.
Well, you know what? I'm actually taking an online voiceover class now because so many people have told me that. So I said, let me see what this is all about.
Oh yeah. You start practicing with just voicing over random videos just for fun. See what you can do.
Sure.
And then you can start making voices.
Yeah.
Okay. When you said that when you were in the Central African Republic, that the kids there thought you might, the only American Black American they ever knew was Wesley Snipes. Okay.
Yeah, based upon what they saw on television, or their pet name for me was American Noir, which is Black American. American Noir.
I love
American
it.
Noir. Hey,
Yeah.
I've been-
But
I've
all
been
they
called
ever
worse.
saw was the movies, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, movies, TV show, that sort of thing. It was cool. I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
it's all good. I've been called worse.
Okay, so 3 actors are auditioning to do the Dutch Martin story. This is the biopic that's going to be done when you finally retire. Okay. Okay. Now you got three of them audition, and you've got to pick the one that's going to star. You got to pick the one that's going to be in the supporting cast, and you got to pick the one that's going to be, sorry, they're going to have to go back into summer stock. Okay. So, all right. So we've got Wesley Snipes, we've got Forrest Whitaker, we've got Samuel L. Jackson. Who's the star? Who's the supporting actor? And who's going to have to go to summer stock?
Oh man, geez, 3 of my favorite actors. I'm gonna have to say the star will have to be Forrest Whitaker. I mean, one of the greatest character actors of this generation. I was so happy when he finally won the Oscar for The Last King of Scotland. I mean, he's one of those character actors to where you never see him give a bad performance.
That's right.
He is always on.
Mhm.
Okay, and he's real, he's authentic, he's relatable. So I would love to have an actor of his caliber play me. Supporting role, I would say Wesley Snipes is like one of my older brothers, Keith, who in his prime was, ripped and buffed and everything. And, when I was a kid, I wanted to be ripped and buffed and everything too. So been a fan of his. And Samuel L. Jackson, he can direct it. He can cuss at everybody and, direct everyone to act right. So
He'll keep the other cast and crew in line there.
right.
All right.
So what advice would you have for somebody starting out in funny business?
Follow your heart, follow your passion. Definitely connect with folks in AATH, the Association for Applied and Therapeutic Humor, because you need to find your tribe. Okay, if you want to start out in the funny business, know that there are other people like you. You're not an oddball. And even if you are an oddball, that's a good thing because there are other oddballs out there. And being an oddball is not necessarily a bad thing. So connect with people who have the same interests and passions with you. In this case, definitely connect with folks in AATH. Definitely join a Toastmasters club or 2. You surround yourself with people who are like-minded, who are going to support you, and who have your best interests at heart. Definitely.
And in the first year of the Humor Academy, which is part of AATH, how did you reach out and get to know and network the other people that were in AATH that first year?
Well, we kept in touch with each other, through phone, text, social media. We met every month for our monthly meetings.
That's the Academy group. But what about other people within AATH? Did you reach out beyond the Academy people?
Well, once I joined AATH, I reached out to Jim Bob. He became my mentor.
So I didn't know that.
Yep, full disclosure. So he's not paying me
full disclosure. Dutch does not need very much mentoring. He's got phenomenal drive energy,
and he still hasn't bought me dinner, but that's neither here nor there.
Oh, I see. So there's some unfinished business.
Yeah.
Yes, we got to meet at DC Improv.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So I reached out, and the monthly Humor Zoomers Zoom meeting. When I'm able to make those, I meet folks. But for me, the best thing was attending the conference.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I mean, just being in a conference with so many like-minded people from all over the world.
Okay. Now, the date that we are recording this, July 24th, 2022, this happens to be National Tell an Old Joke Day.
Oh.
What's an old, corny joke that still works after all this time?
Well, I have one that it's kind of old, but not everyone's heard it. Okay, we all know, why did the chicken cross the road to get to the other side? Why did the skeleton not cross the road?
Why?
Why?
Because he didn't have guts.
Oh.
So I have one. What do you call a cow with no back legs?
What do you call a cow with no back legs?
An udder drag.
Well, on a more serious note, this is also the anniversary of the birth of Amelia Earhart. And remember, she tried to fly the Pacific and was lost to the world in 1935. And it's especially sad today, July 24th, 2022, because had she completed that flight, her luggage would have arrived today.
Ah, very nice. Very nice.
Well played.
Because I was going to go off into, Dutch, if you found yourself in the Bermuda Triangle, what would you say?
Hard. If I found myself in the Bermuda Triangle, I would say, you know what? I've never been good at math. I'd be
You
lost.
notice ever since GPS come out, you don't hear about ships being lost in the Bermuda Triangle anymore.
Oh,
Right.
that's right.
Look,
That's a good point.
Okay, I was trying to help my son with his math homework, division, the old school division. We write stuff out. We write this little house. We put the small number outside the house and the big number inside. This divided by this. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how to do this anymore.
It's hard.
Here, Dad, he whipped out his little calculator. Dip, 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 dip. I'm like, ay.
Yeah.
I am so old.
The times have changed. I mean, have you had to, he's 11, so have you had to do new math?
You know what?
No, you're talking about Common Core math, which is displaced new math. It's even worse than new math.
Oh, no.
We don't do Common Core in this house.
Okay.
His teachers know. We do the standard stuff.
All right.
I don't even know what Common Core is.
1 + 1 = 2.
Right.
It doesn't equal the patriarchy. No.
I think we're going to have to,
well,
we're going to have to sum up.
And maybe we can have you back for a part 2.
Absolutely. I'd be more than happy to.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys have an awesome day.
You too.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode number 84 with Dutch Martin, Jim Bob Williams, and Katie B. This has been Laughbox, brought to you by the Association of Applied and Therapeutic Humor. Thank you so much for hanging out with us for episode 84, and we'll see you next time.